the next right step. I wanted to use my time well and not waste my life. And this was in the summer of 2020, and I was only working 2 days a week, and I was just really kind of feeling the effects of not being around people, and it made me feel so stuck to not be able to be around people really almost at all, only 2 days a week. And so I wanted to find some sort of a part-time job or something that I could do both during that summer, but also even once school started up again. And I just wanted to apply the simple words that my dad had said to me, which was simply to take action and then adjust. And with that thought process, it's really freeing, or it was really freeing for me, because I realized that whatever I do next is not a permanent thing. It's not forever. And that allowed there to be this release, this pressure release, to allow me to actually just be and enjoy whatever the work ended up looking like, and realize this is only for a period of time, and probably a short period of time. So I want to do the most that I can with this time. And so I started looking at different jobs and applying to different jobs, and I was looking for something that I would enjoy, but that also would cause me to grow and to develop as a person. And I applied to a few different places and was looking for some options. There's a place at a chiropractor, as well as a Goodwill, and there were a few other places that were also pretty close to where I live. And there was a Goodwill that was actually opening less than 10 minutes away from where I was living, and I just decided to go. I was like, oh, what's the worst that can happen? And the plan was simply just to go there and interview. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to work there, to be honest. And I knew I didn't want to work there for very long, even while I was driving to Goodwill. And I remembered calling my mom on the way to the job and saying, I'm pretty sure that if I want this, I can have it. And I'm really not sure I want this. And there was a lot of and after the interview I was really sure that I was gonna get that job if I wanted it. And there was some internal turmoil inside of me. And it's pretty odd to be working somewhere, but before you even start there, you're saying to yourself, I know I'm not going to be there forever, or for any longer than I need to be or choose to be. And I remember sharing this on my family's Zoom. And a part of what was so incongruent, or not, what felt so weird inside of me, was that I didn't want to do something that didn't require more of me, that didn't require me to grow and develop as a person. And in saying yes to a job like this, it almost felt like I was coasting. It felt like I wasn't moving forward or progressing in any meaningful way, which isn't an environment that I love, because I want to be growing. I want to be developing and activating more of the person that I've been created to be. And what I wasn't prepared for was how that environment was gonna grow me and actually change my life forever for the better. I ended up only working there for 8 months, And I also, because I knew I wasn't going to be there forever, I went into it with that mindset of, this is temporary, let's make the most of it, let's be intentional with conversations. And that mindset has served me super well in other areas of my life even since then. And it just allowed me to be intentional each day that I was there with my coworkers, with the people that were working there. And it caused me to focus on impacting the people around me, really listening to what was going on and being present. I had probably one of the most impactful things that I learned, or that shifted in me while I was there, was this simple statement of, when someone asks me, hey, how are you? I will almost always say, I'm grateful to be here, or estoy agradecido de estar aquí. And I came up with that because there was a day where I really didn't want to be there. I didn't want to go to work that day. And I think that everyone has those days. And I was having this conversation with myself where in my brain I'm going, if someone asks me how I'm doing, if I say I'm good or I'm okay or solid or great, that's not true. So what can I say that's both true based on how I actually am feeling that day, and also moves me forward, that isn't, because if I say, how are you doing, bad, like that, even if that was true on some level, like I just didn't want to say that because it was just going to be a negative feedback loop. It wasn't going to allow me to shift or come out of that in a healthy way. And I realized, oh, even if I don't want to go to work today, I'm still grateful to be here. Like, I'm still grateful to be, like, there's so many levels to saying, how are you? I'm grateful to be here. It can be like a physical thing in terms of, if I was at work, like, hey, I'm grateful to be here. And it's like, I'm grateful to have a job, but I'm also grateful to be here because I'm still breathing. Like, my heart is beating, and I'm not consciously thinking about, is my heart beating? And like, I have access to water and food. And so it's just this like shift of, I'm grateful to be here, like physically where I am, but I'm grateful to just be as a person and to be here in this moment. And that small thing, there were so many customers that over the time that I said that while I was there, and they'd just be like, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm grateful to be here. And they would just go like, man, I've never met someone who's said that before. And I'm just so grateful, even though it was a challenging way to come up with that statement, but it's been so impactful. And I learned how to say it in Spanish, and with Spanish you can actually say it with the two different to be's, one that's temporary and one that's more permanent. Estoy agradecido estar aquí, or soy agradecido ser aquí. And one is more surface, temporary, and the other is more permanent and like the core, the essence, or the deepest part of who we are, that's unchanging. And I really like that, so I wanted to share. Let's see, I was able to, oh, this was super cool. I realized how much I love working and being around people, like specifically non-Christians. I'd worked in a church environment for almost 5 years and was still working in a church at the same time, at Vintage Grace, while I was at Goodwill. And I loved what I was doing, working with in those environments. I also realized how much I enjoy being in like just the business or the secular world as well. And both spaces are super valuable, and I it was so fun though to kind of be in both. I had someone point out to me, hey, it's really unusual for someone to be at the same time working in a church and working in a business environment or even in a retail environment. And it was super cool to be in both spaces, and just got to pray for a lot of people while I was at Goodwill. There was someone who actually came to know the Lord while I was there, and it was such a, like, looking back on it, yeah, it was, even though it wasn't what I envisioned as being valuable, that didn't end up being true. It ended up being incredibly valuable to who I am. And I also found out, because while I was there, I would compliment people, which I do in my life in general. But I also would notice that because I was there and I would say good things about different people, there would be coworkers that would start to also say good things about other people. Or I would go like, oh, I like your shoes. And someone else would be like, oh, I like those shoes too, but I didn't want to say that. And it was just, it's so interesting how each one of us in the spaces and places that we are can have a positive impact and shine a small amount of light or a small amount of gratitude, and be kind in even small ways, and be present. I'm really grateful to have gotten to be there, and just the ways that even something as short a period of time as 8 months can be, how it can be so transformative, and that there was character and pieces of me that were developed in that environment that are going to benefit me for the rest of my life. And it really just came initially going, like, the things that stick with me to this day are going into each thing, whether it's school, relationships, friendships, jobs, going, hey, this may not be forever. This may be temporary. And so how do I maximize what is currently present? And how do I make the most of that? Because when I choose to treat something like I don't know how long it's going to be around for, there's a higher level of value put on it. There's a higher level of gratitude. There's a higher level of attention to detail. And that, I'm grateful to be here. And then realizing how much I just engage well in the business world, and in, like, that's kind of something that I had thought for a while, but I actually was like, kind of had confirmation while I was there that those are spaces that I do really well in, and just really make a big difference. So yeah, I guess the takeaways or the thoughts are, maybe it's when someone asks how you are, just saying simply, I'm grateful to be here, and seeing how that shifts over time, or reminding yourself that, hey, this is temporary. I'm just going to take the next right step, and then I can adjust. It's not permanent. It's just the next right step. It's really freeing when you can release that pressure of having to have it all figured out, and instead just take action, adjust, realize it's probably temporary anyway, and choose to cultivate gratitude in a small way on a daily basis, and can make a big difference. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube. Whichever way you choose to do that, I pray that we as people would live by faith, become known by love and be voices of hope, that we would dream great dreams and have the courage to go after them. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave a like or a comment or a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. I would greatly appreciate that, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Adios.